Good evening and welcome to the September 25th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good evening and welcome. Sorry for the delay. We did have an executive session that ran a little bit over for us. Let's move right into announcements. So everybody is aware the public boat launch is closed for repairs. I would guess within the next week or so that there'll be much more activity going on down there. As a reminder, the first half of your property tax payments are due into the town office no later than October 5th. And the road review committee is looking for a used metal detector. If anyone has one that they would like to donate, yes, call Christina here at the town office would be the best bet, right? Or one of the members of the road review committee. Any other announcements?
Yeah. Bridget wanted to know if you could announce that.
Okay. This Sunday at 2 p.m. At the Waterboro Library, for those of you that may have an interest, there'll be a dedication of the Barbara R. Lord Memorial Gardens at the library. It's being put on with, I guess, Bridget Gallum and is it the Board of Trustees, or is this, okay, Library Board of Trustees, and those of you that may remember Barbara passed away a number of years ago, back in 2003, and she had a lifetime love of gardening and reading, and her family decided to have any donations made to Waterboro Library Garden Project, if you want to call it that. And recently, back in July, there was a request by the Board of Trustees to Willis to potentially use those funds to enhance the gardens at the current library, and I believe Willis was approved of that, so they will be moving forward with that. And on Sunday again at 2 p.m. at the Waterboro Library, there will be a planned dedication. I presume that family members would be in attendance, as well as those folks that have an interest in that. Anything else? John?
The Waterboro Community Garden Committee and the newly cleared land right out here next to our parking lot needs to have rocks harvested. And that we're looking for volunteers between 8 o'clock and 11 o'clock this Saturday. Come on down here and pick a few rocks. And we're going to get those out of the garden. And I think there's going to be some coffee and donuts down here for your efforts. So come on down. 8 o'clock Saturday morning, right here.
Okay. All right. First thing on the agenda tonight is we have an appointment that we've set up really to discuss public safety issues centered around car shows and whatnot that are being held at a local establishment. You know, we've invited the Deputy Sanborn in, and as well as some other folks. I think the owners are here as well. This is a kind of brought forth by Selectman Littlefield, so I'm going to defer, I guess, to Gordon to get this thing started.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good evening. This is the result of some discussions that our contract deputy Shawn Sanborn has had, seeking some assistance from the board with what he generally characterizes as some safety issues centering around the car shows that take place at a business establishment in the community called Blast from the Past. He came to us hoping that we could try to come up with ways that would ensure public safety for the residents of the community as well as the participants at the festivities that are conducted down there, because it's certainly not the position of the town to just outlaw these types of activities altogether, because they're a source of enjoyment for a lot of people, and it obviously does bring in business into the community. But coupled with that, it does inherently sometimes have some problems that are associated with it. And we're trying to find ways that we can both coexist peacefully, so that the rights of the citizens are taken care of, as well as the rights of the participants and the business owners in the community. We've had concerns regarding the parking situation within the parking lot itself, not allowing for adequate fire lanes and so forth in the event that some type of emergency response, whether it be rescue or fire services, would be required at that location. I believe we have a captain from the fire department present this evening that can lend some information on that after having spoken with the fire chief earlier today. And from the law enforcement perspective, we have Deputy Sanborn, who's the contract deputy for the town of Waterboro, and Sergeant Chevette, a supervisor with the York County Sheriff's Office, are present, both individuals of which have had firsthand knowledge of some of the issues that presented themselves for us to have the discussion tonight. One of which is participants leaving the establishment and causing unnecessary noise, most notably tire noise, with people peeling out of the establishment to such an extent that the Sheriff's Office has received complaints from residents within the area about the noise factor and how it disturbs their peace and tranquility. And I'm sure that once these issues are made known to the Blast, I'm sure that they would want to certainly peacefully coexist and be a good neighbor. So I guess at this particular point in time, because we have invited the people from the restaurant to be here tonight, that we present the side from the Sheriff's Office and give you the opportunity to respond. So at this time, I would like to ask Deputy Sanborn if he would mind stepping to the podium and sort of give the board here an overview of what he considers issues that need to be addressed. Deputy Sanborn?
I want to say first that noise is kind of secondary. Noise is a nuisance. I've had people from Roberts Ridge Road tell me, that live far up Roberts Ridge Road, say, yeah, I can tell when the car show's getting out because I can hear the squealing all the way up at my house. I mean, we're talking going up the hill on Roberts Ridge. Noise isn't so much what concerns me. It does, but it's secondary. It's more the fact that this is taking place on Route 5 in a 50-mile-an-hour zone on a gradual curve on a Friday night. Now, if this was at the end of out in no man's land in a cul-de-sac or somewhere where it wasn't busy, or it would probably be a lower priority for me. But the fact that it's right on Secocas Trail in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, like I said, on a gradual curve, just down the road from Hannaford, it's a main artery in and out of town and up into Limerick and the northern towns. The fact that this is going on presents a big concern for me. I take being contract deputy of this town pretty seriously, and I try to, safety is the biggest concern, safety for all citizens. And this has been a problem that's plagued me going back a few years. Started a few years ago. I went there with my wife off duty, and because I like car shows. I actually think that car show is great. The car show itself, combined with the 50s diner, I think it draws people to Waterboro, and it's a great source of revenue and brings attention to our town, and it's good for business. That itself is great. I have no issues with the fact that there's a car show there. One of my best friends is a hot rod enthusiast, and he used to go to that car show as well. He no longer does, actually, because of this issue. I was there that night, and at the close of the show, I saw a big block hot rod take off out of there and squeal its tires up the road. And I kind of shrugged, and I said, well, that's bound to happen. After the next 10 major peel-outs out of the parking lot, now this doesn't happen every time, it's slowed down a lot, but that night was horrendous. I counted about, I want to say approximately 12 peel-outs out of there that night. And after that, I had a big concern. I'm like, one you can laugh off, maybe, but now we've got a lot, so it drew my attention to the car show, so I started paying attention as a police officer, and then sure enough, Friday, I think it was it Thursdays back then, or has it always been Friday? I've lost track, but anyway, it was, okay. The peel-out marks, it's a calling card. They'd be there every time as a J out of the driveway. So I started approaching the owner, or who I believe is the owner, and saying, this is a problem. Is there a way we can fix this? I know that other car shows make an announcement at the end of the night. The one I like to use is Shapley, because they say something to the effect of, please do not squeal your tires or burn rubber when you leave here. Those that do will not be welcome back. And that's a key phrase of the warning. Those that do will not be welcome back. That tells the participants that it's not acceptable behavior and we don't condone it. I made that request once. The tire squealing continued. Now, this is going back a few years ago. This is around 2009, 2010. The last time I communicated that I can remember to the owner, I called him up on the telephone and I said, listen, I need this to stop because it's a safety hazard, and if you don't do something about it, I'm going to have to take some drastic action and really crack down on it. And I still haven't implemented my plan because it's going to be of big proportions when I finally do it. And they're not going to see it coming, and it'll probably involve additional personnel, and it's going to be extremely unhappy for a lot of people if I have to go through with this. Now, I'm not going to lay those cards on the table because that would ruin it if I ever have to do it. And I don't want to do that. I just want voluntary compliance. I'd like the announcement to be made. I want it to stop. Now, a lot of people come to me and they say, well, what's the big deal? What's the big deal with some cars squealing their tires? Well, like I said before, the geographical area, it's a curve, 50-mile-an-hour zone. Now I'll get to the vehicles involved. These are beautiful vehicles. They also have beautiful engines, big engines. Most of them are hot rods. They're souped up. They can give a Porsche run for its money. And these are old-fashioned Detroit cars, and they've been souped up. Now that's great. These guys are good mechanics. But I don't believe that most of these people are good drivers and actually know what they have under the hood of their cars. I don't think they fully realize it. And when you really put the hammer down, so to speak, on one of these vehicles, if you lock the wheels up the wrong way, now I'm not an expert, but like I said, my friend is, if the tires catch the wrong way on the pavement, you've got a lot of horsepower out of control. And in that area where we've got families, we've got people commuting home or going wherever, we don't really need one of these very powerful, old-fashioned, well-built metal and iron cars out of control. I know it's happened before. It was never reported, but I've had a couple people tell me about it. I think it was a 55 Chevy. Maybe I'm wrong. But one of those cars went out of control one night and went off and had to sit, I guess the driver had to sit over on the shoulder of the road and pull himself together because he was so, unnerved by what he almost lost it. And, we've had incidents in Buxton, not us, but I know there's been people squealing out of the Buxton car show where the throttle is stuck and cars have flipped over and people have gone to the hospital. That's a possible consequence of what can happen here. This wouldn't be such a big priority if it was out in no man's land, but it's not. It's right in the middle of our town, right near some plazas where people go shopping. And all I ask is for just some voluntary compliance. A lot of people out there think that I'm the bad guy in this. I've heard feedback from the community that I've, quote, given the car show trouble. I don't want to give anyone trouble. I'd like to actually go and enjoy the car show myself. I don't feel welcome there anymore. If I go and do a walkthrough, I get cat calls, not cat calls, but people, oh, there he is, and I get that through the whole circuit as I walk through. So I don't go there anymore for that reason. I just want some compliance. If people want to squeal their tires there, I believe Sergeant Chavette has suggested that people do it in somewhere out and back in the parking lot on private property, not on our Route 5. Sergeant Chavette, how was that suggestion taken?
About a year and a half ago, probably 2 years ago now, I addressed the same issue with management there. It wasn't you folks that I spoke to. It was identified himself as a manager. Suggested voluntary compliance, as Deputy Sanborn's already spoken about. Basically, I was told by that individual that it wasn't their problem and that they had no control over what happens on Route 5. At that point, I felt kind of slated that we needed to do something from a public safety standpoint. We can work together and easily resolve this problem, but we need to have compliance from all parties involved. The town's got a concern here. They've invited all parties here. The issue is just that. My opinion is that the ownership or management does have some control over what happens on Route 5 by simply announcing to the participants not to have that type of behavior, the safety of that. And what's also interesting is that all the scarring is on Route 5. It's not on the business property. So that tells me right there that yes, there is some ownership in all parties. So we're just looking for a little bit of voluntary compliance.
There was an announcement made some time ago. When you and I were sitting there a few weeks ago, did you hear an announcement made that time? I did not. Maybe there was and you didn't hear it, but I sat there alone one day because I have to go and sit there now. If I have time, if I'm not responding to other calls and domestics and things like that, which is common on a Friday night, I feel the need to go and sit there at the close of the show and sit there and babysit these people as they come out. Now, it's not all the participants. It's just a certain few that feel that they need to do this and play Smokey and the Bandit with us. And as the only dedicated person to this town, I really think I can be used elsewhere, not sitting across the street from a restaurant to keep middle-aged people from squealing out of there. It's needless, and it shouldn't have gone this far. I haven't approached them. I didn't approach them last year. I felt it quieted down somewhat last year. 2011, I saw a few black marks. It wasn't as bad. The beginning of this year, I actually got a phone call that said, "Yep, they're doing it again," and a couple of the participants are actually happy about it. So, like I said, I have people in that circle that know what's going on, and they're like, "Yeah, we're doing it again." And what I was told, I wasn't there, is that there's no announcements were being made to deter this. So I've just personally, I've had enough of asking and talking. I said, well, I'm just going to increase my patrol, and I'm going to start trying to make an example of people that I catch squealing out of there. People, and this is going to continue. If people squeal out of there, just squealing, chirping their tires, then they'll get the traffic ticket. If I catch anyone doing fishtails in the road recklessly, then I am going to arrest that person and tow their precious vehicle, because I've had enough. I know I sound kind of emotional, but this is a years-long problem, and it should not be going on. It should be like Shapley, where there isn't a problem to our knowledge. And I think that there's a simple solution, and it just needs to be implemented, but it's out of our hands. And it's really taking up my resources, and I don't think it's necessary. So that's pretty much, I just wanted to add, there was an announcement made a few weeks ago when I was sitting there hoping no one was going to peel out right in front of me, and it was something to the effect of, when you leave, the sheriff's office is in the area, so whatever you do on Route 5 is you're on your own. I think it was something to that effect. Didn't tell them not to do anything. Just said whatever you do, you're on your own. So that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for don't do that or you're not welcome back. And I think that would solve the problem, for the most part. That's all I have. Does the board have any questions?
Just one of the other things that was mentioned was the parking situation along both sides of Route 5 that contribute to a visibility problem for traffic both north and southbound, and for traffic that may be exiting the establishment because their line of sight is significantly decreased.
Okay.
And I know that I've done some research on the applicable state statutes regarding that, and I myself have seen cars that have parked on the wrong side of the road down there. So in essence, when they pull out, they have to cross 2 lanes of traffic to get back into their own lane. It seems like they just drive down the road and whip it over to the side and park there. And some cars aren't bumper to bumper. They come in and one park like at an angle like this, and the next one will park like this, and then those types of things that take place. And what I don't want to see is, the hard, fast enforcement action that you'd mentioned, where I would say that probably 90% of those vehicles that are parked there are within the state's right-of-way, and there's a specific statute that prohibits parking in a state right-of-way. So in essence, they could all be towed. That is something that I don't think that we want to see, and nor does the business want to see, because I think there are reputations that come into play here as well, and people talk. So hopefully what we can arrive at this evening by presenting all the sides so that everybody knows what the issues are, that we can come up with a plan that's going to be beneficial to everyone. The town is going to benefit, the business will benefit, the people that patronize the car shows and law enforcement and fire services, everyone's going to benefit. So have you noticed the parking situation down there as well?
I have. Like the noise, it is a concern. It's been a secondary concern. And I think that needs to be addressed as well. Behind the powerful cars leaving with the squealing their tires. But I think that needs to be, the parking probably should be set back away from the driveway a little bit and limited to one side of the road. Now, I'd probably be fine with that as long as they're out of the right of way. But probably the congestion in the parking lot itself is contributing to the problem on Route 5. I'm not against cars parallel parking on the road as long as they're doing it right and not being a hazard to traffic. I want to be reasonable here. I think it's a good business. I think it's a good car show. I want to see both continue. I just don't want people to be unsafe as they try to, run that gauntlet, at 7 o'clock on Friday nights. That's my big concern.
I have a little different take than Gordon does. I don't know why you're here, Shawn, asking for permission or our support for you to do your job. If people are breaking the law, take over.
Okay. Well, the problem is there's a lot of things that go on Friday night, and I'm not always able to go down there.
I've heard that, okay?
Okay, I'm
You're
not always.
one man, okay?
Yep.
But this is an issue, it's a concern for you, so I would think you would be on top of it.
Okay. Well, I'm also not multi-dimensional, Mr. Woodson. If something else is going on a Friday night, I can't be in 2 places at once. And like I said, I think it's a poor use of police resources to have me sitting across from a diner every Friday night.
Well, I think if you arrested a few people, it probably would stop.
Yes, And there's a trip. Oh, I agree. And I've been waiting. The last guy, the other night, Sergeant Chevette and I are sitting there, and a guy pulls out, looks at us, and squeals his tires. He didn't do it recklessly enough for me to arrest him. But I actually told him, I said, you know, I was waiting for you to start fishtailing your car because I was going to arrest you and tow it. And he said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, here's your ticket. Drive safe the rest of the way home. People tend to put a halo on their heads when they see sheriff on the side of a car. That's why I have to sit there. I don't want to have to sit there. There's a lot of businesses across town, and if there was a problem at every single business, we'd be in a lot of trouble. Right now, I've just got this one problem on a Friday night that it can easily be taken care of with I believe, with a few words from the owner. And I've come to the board and to the town because my going to them has not worked. Maybe I've talked to the wrong person. I don't know. But that hasn't worked. So I've come to the board to try to get the community to help me in solving this problem. So that's why I'm here. And I think that is also part of my job. Trying to go outside the box here a little bit because in the box isn't working, and I think it's wasting. The town pays a lot of money for me to be here, as a lot of people know. You know, freedom isn't free. But I think sitting across from a diner every Friday night is a very poor way for me to be spending my time.
On the other hand, I don't see you sitting across there every Friday night. You tell the owner, I'm going to be out there in the next 2 weeks. Tell the people, I see any fishtailing, I nail them. And I'll be there for the next month when I can. Anybody I see fishtailing, I'm going to nail them. Tell them that. And do it. And you nail 2 or 3 of them, and it's going to stop.
Yeah,
Now, for the owner, I would think it'd be a lot easier, like you said, to tell people you're not to do this. If you do this, you're not welcome back, rather than having you arrest 3 or 4 people. Then the whole show is in jeopardy, I would think. They think, oh, if we want to peel out, we'll go someplace else. But that's not your problem. I think you nail a couple of people.
Mr. Gale, I'd love to nail a couple people, but like I said before, they put a halo on when they see me sitting across the street. The gentleman that peeled out in front of Sergeant Chevette and I think that was an exception.
Yeah.
I actually couldn't believe he did it. I said, there's 2 of us, and the guy just burned rubber right in front. I was borderline incredulous. So that was an exception. Most of the time, you're sitting across the street, they just give you dirty looks as they pull out, and they don't do anything. But I have to be there, that's the point.
Yeah.
I have to be sitting there. I don't want to have to be sitting there. I want the place to police itself. That's...
Yeah, I understand.
That's all.
Tammy?
I see the owners of the business sitting back here, and Shawn, you can't see because you've got your back to them. I'm watching them sitting here, shaking their head. Body language is telling me that you recognize that there's a problem there.
I recognize there's a problem there, but
Can't stop them all.
he has never spoken to us like he's speaking to you right now. Not to me, I'm sorry. I
Not
think
to
you've
you.
spoken to him.
I haven't seen them in a couple of years, and I tell the people not to spin their tires and all that. And last Friday, there was no noise at all. I told them if they kept spinning their tires, the show's done.
Awesome.
We'll shut it down. We do 20 shows a year, that's all we do. And 3 of them are rained out, so that's 17 Friday, 3 hours a night. If you don't want it, we'll shut it down. Everybody benefits from that. He can benefit too. It's a $165 fine. Bring money into the sheriff's department.
It doesn't go to the sheriff's department,
We don't
unfortunately.
really-
Goes to the state of Maine. And you know how they spend money.
We don't really want anybody to get fined. We don't want accidents.
Well, I wish a few got fined because most of them are your younger ones that mingle in the place and make the noise.
So
Most of the people are 55 and older.
when
that have
people
these
are
cars.
leaving, is there anybody that's representing your business that's out there watching as people are leaving, or is this
Well, normally
organized by
we,
a car group? I'm not sure who organizes this and kind of sits there and...
We gotta tell people not to spin, but I mean, if they haven't spun, we don't advertise it every week. I'll be honest about that. But now I tell them, if they spin, the show's done. They
But
can pick.
are you the ones that organize the car show, or is there like a club that,
No,
that
we
does
do
it?
it.
So you do it. And
They
when the
came to
car
us,
shows...
different cars, and asked us to
Yeah,
have
we
us.
do.
And when the car show ends, so are you there on Friday nights during the car show?
Yes, but a few of these Fridays we wasn't around.
The
Okay.
one where the guy just did it 2 weeks ago right in front of them, we
Mhm.
were not present for that one, and that guy was at the show this past Friday. His wife told me, my husband did this, I said, I wanna meet that guy.
Good, thank you.
And I told him, I said, we got a letter from the town because of things like that.
He
So,
thinks it was funny. You know,
So
so how
are-
can you
how
stop
do I
these people?
stop
so
Like-
if you're there doing that, and
But
you
I-
see that, you know, Joe is the one that took off peeling out or whatnot, why as business wouldn't you say you're not invited back and cut them off
We
for a
will.
couple of weeks?
We will,
I
we've already
think
sent
that's
some
kind of
people
what
away.
he's asking for is, you know, if you penalize them a bit yourself and say, hey, you know what, we're gonna watch what's going on, and if you guys are doing this, you're not welcome back, and don't let them on the property again
Well,
for another, you know,
I agree,
2
we
weeks or
stop
whatever.
people from drinking, they come in there with drunk, they turn around, go home, had enough. We don't want that in there.
Yeah, make sure you call on them too.
yeah. And I must admit that usually when the car show is over, I start cleaning up and I
Yeah,
don't
so we
watch,
don't see everything, we
we
start
don't
picking
watch
up.
them exit all the time. Honestly, I don't.
Yeah,
I'd rather pick up, I don't particularly enjoy the peel-outs,
I'm not
so,
positive, but I think my friend told me that, I've never been to the Shapley show, but I think he said there's a sign too. It just
Yeah,
came to mind. I
yeah.
believe they have a sign.
and, you know,
I think if it's not,
These people are senior citizens,
yeah,
and I must admit
about
to you,
80%, but you always get a few, and then you get people that stop in the road and spin their tires for no reason at all. Then you stop on Route 5 and they blow their tire in front of us.
but you know, when we first started that show, we did not encourage the peel-outs, but some of our neighbors did. They had signs out on the street
Yeah,
asking them to
they
peel.
weren't direct neighbors, were they? So I talked to one guy that liked it.
right there on the right, the guy on the right is the one, well.
Nobody just said anything about who it was, but there
Side-
was
sure,
signs
we're
out
all
there.
up there.
You got a
There was
comment?
signs out there.
I
That's
know
right.
you're
But I
on
mean,
the
it
meeting.
sounds like you're willing to acknowledge that there's a
definitely.
problem.
Definitely, we have
And I
no
think
issues.
that, you know, if we can get Sergeants Chevette and Deputy Sanborn and the two of you to kind of sit down and put a plan together, I don't think there's really any need for us to
I,
Yeah.
well, I,
be
Right.
involved.
I agree with you. I think this has evolved into a really big thing because now me sitting here, you have fire department here now, and I know what's coming up next. I think that you guys are coming after us now, so I get defensive. Because we have had no trouble other than the peel-outs, which none of us are saying that doesn't happen, it does. But we have had no trouble at that restaurant with car shows. They're all very nice people. They all respect each other.
They
We've had
spend
no
money all
trouble.
through town, whether they're buying gas or whether they're in there drinking Dunkin' Donuts or whatever.
I think it's
They
just
spend money all in the
where,
whole
where
area.
you guys have to watch the people that are leaving and say, you can't come back next time.
I agree with that.
Okay, and I must say I'm lax at that. I've never seen who does it, so, and that's because I don't want to see it, so that's
Side-
my issue.
side and try.
Maybe we could just close this part of the discussion this evening by saying, we in law enforcement recognize there's a problem. Town, select people recognize there's a problem, the business recognizes there's a problem. I don't believe there's anyone in this room that's gonna say that we're not all trying to be proactive here, to do something before something drastic happens. So with that being said, Friday's a brand new day. You know, if we can get together between Deputy Sanborn and myself, I'll invite myself over to the business on Friday night. I just happen to be working on Fridays. I'll meet with you folks, even prior to that. Proactivity, that's all I'm looking for. And I think
This
that's
Friday
everybody
is our
looking
last
for.
show. for the
This is
season.
our last show and it's done at 7.
Okay, so then we have a whole winter to be even that much more proactive before
Correct.
spring comes and make some definite concrete plans and make it work for the spring.
But we can't stop people from parking the wrong way on the road.
Yeah, I don't understand that part of this.
Well,
Those
let me-
people,
let me
are-
just-
And that's
Those
because they won't
people-
go out back and park, because
Me-
there's parking way out back.
those
let me-
people are townspeople who are driving by and say, oh, wait, I want to go see what's
Time
going
out.
on.
First of all, and that was, Tammy Jo asked one of the questions that I was gonna ask, which is, who runs the show, all right?
We do.
And I understand that you have a business to run, and as part of that, you have this show that's going on, right? Then ultimately, anybody I mean, whether you put flyers out, whether it's word of mouth, whatever the case may be,
Word of
all right, there is some onus on you to say, we want you to come, but we have some organization here, right?
I agree.
All right? We don't want you parking, you know, wrong way on the street, we have some safety concerns. So I think just you, by being the host of the show, can certainly, the way that people are invited, okay, or the word that goes out, can set the tone, basically, for that. And I think working with the sheriff's department, certainly fire department is here tonight, because there's concerns with when the show is going on, is there access into that establishment, should there be a medical event?
Can we hear from the fire department now, too?
So, Dan?
I just wanted to say, first of all, my name's Dan Roy, nice to meet you guys. I'm not here to get, that's not what I do, I help you, I'm not out to get nobody. I think we have two concerns. One concern is the parking on both sides of the road. When we take our apparatus, let's say we're headed towards Hannaford, for instance, and you have two vehicles on both sides of the road, the size of the vehicles when we're going around that turn, it's pretty dangerous, actually, because we actually have to move over to the side of the road and oncoming vehicles. So if there was a way that we could keep the vehicles on one side of the road, that would work out good for us.
I understand your concern, but how can I do that? The road is not
Right,
on
that's something
the
we
same
can,
road.
that's
so
something we can work with
I
you
don't
guys about.
understand how that can be my responsibility.
Gonna put no parking signs on the other side of the road?
Can we put no parking
Yeah,
signs for Friday
that's
night
something
only?
for next year, we can
Cones.
talk about, we'd be glad to do that.
Just have them park on the field side, not the resident side.
And then the other concern is just basically if we did have an emergency or a situation where we had to get inside your parking
We
lot.
can. We can put an orange cone for an area for the police department or
All right, so that-
emergency vehicle.
You can always get in on the left side anyways, because
Yeah.
that side's never.
Right, in order to get our apparatus in there, because we have ladder trucks and tankers that are used. But again, that's something that, yes, we can work with them on. I know the chief would be willing to, I would work with you guys just to make it safe so we can have access in and out of your property. And I'm sure we can come up with something, it should be a simple solution to put no parking signs on one side of the road. To me, that seems like a simple thing to do. I mean, I don't see how hard that
Even if
could be.
they're temporary signs just for Friday night event.
Exactly, I mean, we do that when we have events over here in Waterboro, and it's safer that way. Just,
We've done that with the fishing derby and.
yeah, it's just,
here,
I mean,
you know, so-
I'm sure we can help them out, so we can find some old no parking signs somewhere in the fire station.
We actually have some new ones that we ordered.
There you go, and we can, I mean, that's our major concern, just, we're not out to get you, that's not what I do. I just wanna make sure when the crew that I'm working with has to go somewhere, that we get there safe, because if we don't get there safe, then
Correct.
we can't do our job. And we want, like you said, there's some elderly people that do go there, and the chances are, we haven't been there, I don't remember going there, but we might have to go there sometime, might have to go there for a car fire, or,
You guys have never been there, but yeah.
No, but there
Right,
will,
you're exactly right.
there may be a time we might have to go.
Yeah.
That's our only really, our concerns.
The only thing you have to put out's the tires.
So, kind of the invitation has been made here to kind of get everybody together and work. I see everybody's head nodding, so I guess,
We have all winter to get some kind of a plan in action. And I'm putting my hand up right now, and I'll volunteer to be on a committee, if you will, to make this problem go away. I mean, we have several months to do this before spring, and next year's season starts up.
If you just put down in the letter or something that what you want from us. And then if we think it's undoable, we'll call you and we'll find out what we can do to compromise or whatever.
and
I can't imagine anything is undoable.
I guess I would offer if the sheriff's department has a recommendation on which side of that road that they would like to see,
It'd be the business side.
so.
That would be
Yeah.
the parking on the business.
That way there's no ducks crossing the road.
So I think that's something that we, as time goes on, we can make that determination of no parking on a certain side of Route 5, whatever that may be, and I would suggest it would be the off side.
It would be better if it was the opposite side, so they wouldn't cross the road.
Correct.
Right, that's what he just said. And besides, that side has less room, it has less of a shoulder.
And that would be the same
Yeah,
process that we've used every fishing derby and,
There'd be no ordinance violations on behalf of the town posted every Friday,
If
correct?
it's temporary signs, we can put
State
them up
road.
for Friday night.
That would be,
So it's not even our call.
that's sweet, that's perfect. That,
It's your call.
a stern announcement saying they're not looking back if they squeal, and maybe a sign. A sign would be good too, for those that don't hear. And that,
And holding them accountable if they squeal the tires, because I think if you folks too say, you know what, you're not coming back, then that circulates there, and it shows that you mean business as well.
But the sad part about it, when they do that, you don't normally see them for 2-3 weeks and you forget, who it was. I mean, you got 120 cards.
Well,
Sometimes.
some of the responsibility does have to fall on us.
Yeah, no, we agree.
Yeah, it's right down the plates. Right, keep a log.
Anything else?
Yes. I'd like to, in any debate, I think it's good that people have the opportunity to present all their sides. And with respect to Selectman Woodson, who disagreed with me on the concept here, I think that that's good that we can have this debate. But I think it's good that we get all these issues out on the table so that everyone knows about it. Now, and I know where Mr. Woodson, stands on this, but I have been in law enforcement for the major part of my life. And, having retired in a management position, I had occasion to have to mediate some similar things that take place. And one of the arguments that the public has with law enforcement is that they use Gestapo techniques, and why didn't you try this, and why didn't you employ that? So I would like to, offer a commendation to Deputy Sanborn for having the foresight to seek assistance from elected officials, because this problem is not germane just to Waterboro. If one follows the events as reported in the newspaper by members of the press who are here with us tonight, you'll see that similar problems have occurred with Bentleys on Route 1 in Arundel, and that's an issue that has been before the Board of Selectmen down in Arundel, because what we're dealing with in a situation here is not totally a law enforcement issue. It is a community issue, and as community leaders, we take part in that issue to make sure that all our residents are safe and that we can come to some type of consensus, which I think we have this evening, on what we can do together to address this situation so that we don't get into the name calling of, boy, this is a bad business, or the police are, overreacting, they're being too heavy-handed, because a community will only accept a certain level of law enforcement before they get upset about it. You just have to pick up a newspaper anywhere and you can see that. So I think that it's good that we get this out and talk about it and come to a good solution to it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? No, we'll move along and thank everybody for coming in and providing your input, and look forward to some ongoing resolution. Thank you, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, have Brad Bohon, who is the Communications Director of York County Community Action, and requested a few minutes with the board.
Thank you for your time.
I think it's fun about it.
I have asked for a few minutes to update you on York County Community Action, the programs and services that we provide to your town, tell you a little bit about some of the changes that have taken place in our agency over the past few months, in fact, past year or two. I think the last time I was here was about 2 years ago. And thirdly, to ask you to give us feedback on programs that we have and the services that we're able to provide, and how we're working within your community, and if there's anything we're missing, most importantly. So, to begin, I'll give you a very brief description of York County Community Action. We are a community action agency that serves all of York County, 29 towns and cities. We provide services to about 25,000 households throughout the county each year through a variety of programs, which include WIC and Head Start, housing, transportation, community outreach, fuel assistance, and health care. I'll touch on each of those programs briefly when I get further along. But I'd like to tell you about some initiatives, some efficiencies, if you will, that we've adapted to our agency to address some of the funding issues that have come up to us. One is called the No Wrong Door approach. And this really came out of our strategic initiatives meetings over the past several years. And we've what we're trying to do is to educate all of our staff and all of our personnel so that they're aware of what each of our programs has to provide. It may seem intuitive that a client who would come to us for, say, fuel assistance would also get information about transportation if they could use that information, or something about our dental program that is operated through our health center. But that's not necessarily what happens. What happens is very often a client will come and fill out the LIPE application and go home, and 2 weeks later call us for volunteer driver assistance, or for housing assistance, or for some other kind of assistance through our agency, where they could have been served the first time they came in. So what we're trying to do is to be more efficient and more effective each time a client comes. And in order for this to work, we need to train and educate all of our staff so that everyone who works for York County Community Action, whether it's the executive director or a frontline staff person or a program director or a bus driver, knows enough about the agency that they can make that referral. So that client who comes to us for fuel assistance, we can say, we also have a foreclosure prevention program, and when you're finished with this, we're going to move you in that direction. Or we have a housing program that can offer homeownership education, or transportation, or Head Start, or WIC. So what we're trying to do is to be comprehensive and efficient at one time. That's just one of the initiatives that we're adapting or adopting right now in our agency to, again, address some of the funding issues that have come up, and I'll talk about those right now. The WIC program, Women, Infants, and Children, provides food vouchers for clients so they can get nutritious foods at grocery stores or at farm stands. We offer breastfeeding support and education along with breastfeeding pumps. We offer reading materials that come through the RIF program, and we offer 3-month checkups to women who are pregnant through the term of their pregnancy, and to the children until the age of 1. At the age of 1, they get 6-month checkups. Now, the WIC program has taken a cut of $70,000 in the past year, which resulted in 2 lost full-time positions and 1 lost part-time position. The part-time position was nutritionist, which we were not able to fill, but the full-time positions were clerical positions, and we were able to start a volunteer program. So we've reached out to the community. We've asked for people who can help us do those jobs that are office jobs, that are filing jobs, that are phone answering jobs. And so we have been able to fill those slots by reaching out. So the quality of the services has not been diminished because of the loss of funds. And that really is an attribute, I think, that is commendable. I think that the WIC program has looked at what was happening and made some decisions and taken some proactive steps to address those needs. Head Start has taken more dramatic and significant cuts. We have Head Start in Head Start sites in 13 of our communities here. There are 13 sites. There were 16 sites last year. We have 252 Head Start children. There were just about, there were 17 more children in our Head Start program a year before. So the cuts have been, $131,000 this year. In the course of 5 years, it's been $500,000. We've lost 42 slots for children. This year we lost 7.5 positions, Head Start positions, and 17 slots. So we're working at a disadvantage in the Head Start program, and if I can emphasize anything, it is simply this, that Head Start works. We've got evidence to support that. Children who graduate from Head Start program, when they become adults, are less likely to drop out of college. They're more likely to graduate. They're more likely to have successful marriages. They're more likely not to engage in criminal activity, and they're more likely not to become domestic abusers, that is, to become violent in their households. That evidence is supported by, all the evidence that we've seen. So the cuts that are hitting Head Start are serious and they're significant. And I think that We are concerned about what will happen in the future with Head Start. We don't know. We're just, we're doing the best we can. We do have a Head Start site here in Waterboro with 13 children in it. Next program is our housing program. Housing provides pre-purchase and post-purchase counseling. It offers homeownership education. It helps home buyers through the it assists home buyers with rural development mortgage applications, and we have a foreclosure prevention program. I emphasize foreclosure prevention because it's a big issue. It's a big issue in southern Maine. There were 35 families in Waterboro who accessed our foreclosure prevention counselors since January. That doesn't mean that they were in foreclosure, but it meant they were worried about it, or they were at risk, or they were in foreclosure. So that's 35 households that used our foreclosure prevention counselors since January. The transportation program, the most visible of our programs, we have the buses and the vans and volunteer drivers. We have the Shoreline Explorer on the coast in the summertime. I gave each of you a 6-year summary of services that have been provided by York County Community Action, and I refer to that now because it has some interesting information about the transportation program. It shows, for example, this last year that our bus miles was down by 500 miles. We went from 5,450 miles to 4,949 miles in 1 year. But the volunteer driver miles jumped by 84,000, which suggests that there are a lot of residents in Waterboro who are in need of transportation to medical or dental or behavioral health services. And that's what we are doing. We are offering those services, and we are making those drives possible for these individuals. Energy services, which is LIHEAP, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. 2 years ago, the eligibility guidelines was 230% of federal poverty guidelines, and there was a lot of money in the LIHEAP program. So we were able to provide LIHEAP assistance, home heating assistance, to a huge number of people, and the payments were relatively large. They were about $840. That dropped to 150% of poverty guidelines, which shrunk the pool of people who were eligible dramatically, and we lost nearly half of our funding. So rather than $840, the recipients were getting about $500 in fuel benefits. We're expecting to get the same this year. Last year was a very, very mild winter. We had very little snow, and the temperatures were relatively warm. We were lucky, and the people who relied on LIHEAP benefits were well served because they didn't need a whole lot. We don't know what will happen if we have a very severe winter because we've already been told the benefits will be the same. The eligibility guidelines are the same. We're really going to have to wait and see what happens. What we have done in the past, though, is to reach out to the community when we really needed help. If a client exhausted LIHEAP benefits and emergency fuel benefits, there were pools of money that we could use to help them get through the winter. But there's not an infinite number of dollars out there. So again, I'm just letting you know that the benefits this year will be the same as last year, and we can only cross our fingers and hope that we have a winter that was comparable to last year. Community outreach. Community outreach connects people who have needs with services that are available. And this could be anything from shelter to hunger issues to domestic violence issues to the need for a pair of steel-toed shoes for someone who just got a job at a construction site but couldn't afford those shoes. So we have outreach workers who work in every one of our 29 towns and cities, as they are available in all of those towns and cities. We did lose one outreach worker this year to our funding cuts in Bedford. Nonetheless, we still offer the services in all of our towns and communities. We also, to step back to LIHEAP, we also have online applications available. That is to schedule your applications. You can do that through our website now. And we have reached out to all the GA administrators to help us with that, so that when a client comes into your town to meet with your GA administrator, we've asked the GA administrator to help them schedule their application online through our website. I think that that's a good partnership, and I think it'll benefit everybody who needs assistance. And then finally, there's healthcare, which is the program that I'm very excited to talk about. York County Community Healthcare started at our agency in Sanford about 7 years ago. It was housed in a wing. It was a federally qualified health center, which meant our targeted audience were homeless individuals and those who lived in subsidized housing. And then we moved a few years later to a medical center, also in Sanford, and we still targeted that audience. We still had those clients because we were still a federally qualified health center. But just recently, we have become a community health center. We have received a new access point grant. We were, York County, the only county that didn't have a community health center. And what that means is that we're no longer restricted. We're no longer mandated to work with only this targeted group. In fact, we're mandated, required, to bring in a much larger group. We were serving about 2,500 people with medical, dental, and behavioral health services, and we're going to expand that to 6,000 patients over a 2-year period. We're opening a new health center in Springville early next year. We're going to double our staff, and we will take Medicare, Medicare, commercial insurance, and people who have no insurance at all. We have a sliding scale available to them. Last year, there were 55 residents, Waterboro residents, who used our health center. We certainly hope to increase that. We are offering services that are vital to our community, that are needed, that are necessary. So, York County Community Healthcare, which will be named something new, I don't know what that is yet, is really a very exciting new program. I want to say program because it really is a new program. It's community now. It's a community health center. So I want to just update you. I just want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing and what we're doing in your community and what we're doing in your town. And then I want to ask you to help us by telling us if we're doing what you need us to do, or if there are things that we're missing, because I know there are. We can only see so much. And our concern is that we're missing somebody who needs one of our services, but doesn't know that we have that to offer. So the second part of this is to invite you, to ask you, to take this message outside of these walls, outside of this room, and to tell your neighbors, to tell your friends, to tell people who attend your church or your synagogue, your place of worship, to tell anybody you know who may need one of our services that we have those services available. And that's all I have, unless you have questions.
You made your closing comment about tell us how we can help. How do we do that? I mean, other than, okay, it's you know, we take it beyond here and mention it or whatever the case may be, but is there a forum, is there something that York County Community Action does to bring in 29 communities to say, you know, what is it that we need to be doing? You know, this is kind of like the infamous car dealerships, right, or the car makers, that we build this car because we want to sell it, right?
Right.
Nobody who needs it, but we're going to build it anyway. So I guess the question is that, and I'm not suggesting that there's any programs that you run today that we don't need, because I think we need them all, but what is the forum to drive the 29 communities to ask York County Community Action to either embrace some other program or change their mission a little bit or whatever? Is there any formal program
Is there a program?
or forum or whatever? Is there anything formal that would suggest, hey, on an annual basis or every 2 years, we get the group together and say, what is it that we should be doing that we're not?
There is not, but that's a really good idea. That's a very good idea to bring together just somebody from each of these towns to talk about that, to let us know. Because what I have found is that the needs in your community are not the same needs that we would find in Kennebunk or in Kennebunkport or in Kittery or in York. And the evidence of that is demonstrated by the number of people who came or used our foreclosure prevention counselors. That wouldn't be the same elsewhere. The increase in the number of people who used our volunteer drivers, but there was a decrease in other numbers. Our WIC numbers are way down in your community. So I don't know. There is no formal procedure that we've been able to apply to find out, and that's why I am coming out to you now, and why I've met with many of the other towns, given the same presentation. Hopefully, that there were people watching this who could also say, "Oh yeah, call York County Community Action," because that's what we need them to do, and that's what we need for you to do. Again, to take this message outside.
The interaction between community action and general assistance program flows in both directions. People come in and looking for help, can be referred to community action, and community action may give the support. Then there's some of the people are getting the support from community action, but they can't fill all the holes. Then they come to our general assistance. So without a lot of these programs, our general assistance would balloon big time. In the women, infants and children program, in the riders program, in the health care program, that all affects us in our community services. It helps, your health care is going to have some effect on your, on responses for people that are what you call frequent users in needs for ambulance. And if they can get some of that health care provided, and there's an outreach in that, if that happens and there's an outreach program, then maybe that cuts off some of the need for emergency response. So a lot of this has a direct impact on our general assistance program.
David?
Just a couple of questions. This chart that you gave us, this is only Waterboro people, right?
That's correct.
So there's almost 276,000 miles of volunteer driving for Waterboro?
That's 276,000 volunteer miles that only Waterboro residents use. Now, that could have been to take a Waterboro resident 5 days a week to a medical appointment at Southern Maine Medical Center. But that's the total number of miles. And again, you can see how it jumped by 80,000, but then if you look back in 2008, it was almost at 200,000 then. So it does vary. That's not an aberration. These numbers are well documented, and I don't think they're really that extreme if you think about it. The number of people who use our volunteer driver program from Waterville, I'm sorry.
Do some people use it to get to work, or is it no?
No, volunteer driver program is for medical, dental, or behavioral health services, or for foster care appointments. That's it. No other reason. You can't go to take somebody to church, you can't take them shopping, you can't take them to school. There are other transportation programs that do provide those kinds of services.
Okay, where are your funds coming from?
Excuse me?
Where are your funds coming from?
Well, we get state and federal funds.
So the cuts are from the state and federal?
That is correct.
You get nothing from the county?
Well, no, I'm sorry, we do get county funds, of course. No, we get town fundings. We don't get county funds any longer. We did. Those funds were cut off last year.
Okay. Now, you said the Community Health Care Center has been required to increase the number of clients.
That is correct.
Where was that money coming from?
That was a grant, a federal grant. It was a new access point grant, $1.2 million over a 2-year period. That's where it came from.
Is this a part of the Obamacare to tie in with that?
It is.
And so where does the money come from when the grant runs out?
Well, that will remain to be seen. I don't know.
Anything else?
I'll just say that in my work outside of the town, I do a lot of work with I do some victim advocacy work, and I do send a lot of folks to York County Community Action as a resource. And I know that some people, I've gotten a lot of very positive feedback from moms who have had help, with child care issues, getting their kids into Head Start, helping them get back on their feet when they needed help. There's an elderly woman that was a victim of elder abuse that, was able to get some independence going because of York County Community Action. So it's a program that I'm well familiar with, utilize, and it is an excellent program. There's some people there that are doing some phenomenal work.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for
Okay,
stepping
thank you
in,
for your
Brad,
time.
and we appreciate the update. It's been a while, but
I appreciate your time.
thank you. Okay, after appointments, hearing of the delegation, correspondence, we've got Representative Libby's newsletter, list of board and committee vacancies that are up on the web site, copy of email correspondence from Peter Bishop to Assessor Jerry Daigle concerning tax assessments, and information from the Waterboro Water District on the proposed water main extension, what's being discussed is an extension of water from the current M.R.S.A Middle School to Waterboro Elementary School, and then there's two additional expansions, one from the elementary school to the fire station on John Smith Road, and a second extension to this facility here. All in all, there's quite a large number, but if anybody's interested in it, please contact Christina and she can get you a copy of the estimates, which are to the tune of about $750,000. Reports and staff, assessing agent, our assessing agent is coming next week. Treasurer, tax collector, motor vehicle have all provided some written reports. If anybody's interested in those, please contact Christina again. Town clerk, same, and general assistance. She was here with us earlier tonight, but I believe she has left. So that leaves me to road commissioner.
I thought I got an email that said we were supposed to give a report here early tonight at the road review committee and the road commissioner. Did I get that, or was I just...
Next week. No. Okay.
Here I sat. I'm a week early. I'll be sure hungry time that comes around.
That's
put
for
that
us
on
too
your
early for
calendar,
anything.
Doug.
No
I can
kidding.
put that on. I don't like them emails coming that quick. I'm fast to respond. To make this quick, we poked a hole in the end of the dam, which has proved to be fruitful. We're losing, getting rid of water. The level of the water when we done it was 22 3/4 inches down from the top of the steel plate. It's now, as of tonight, over 29 1/4 inches. And the water is just barely drizzling out through the two gate openings that are now vacant because we've removed the gates, and they're sitting down at the town garage waiting for the gate man to come pick them up. The dam is in need of some repair, and it's something that we need to get prices on, and the steel reinforcing around the top of the dam. I would guess, it's my guess, that from the effects of acid rain, it's probably deteriorated the steel. It needs to be sandblasted and repainted, or recoated of some type of coating. The concrete walls showing signs of some erosion on them. And as Don Holden told you last week, there was big rocks put in the bottom of the dam. Well, those rocks have over the years moved down and nobody's taken time to shut the water off and bring the rocks back. So the bottom of the dam shows considerable wear, probably as much as 2 inches. I can't tell you, only what I can feel when I step on it. But there may be more than one outfit that does this, but I'm quite sure that Knowles Industry out of Gorham does that, and I think that the board should look into having them come out and evaluate the work that needs to be done and obtain a cost on doing this, but that's your call. It's going to require that the lake be drawn down again, I would assume, and we put the hole in the dam. The hole is actually higher than I wanted it, but after some discussion with the chairman, we decided to raise the hole for a couple reasons. One, last week there was a lot of talk about infiltration, whether something could come upstream from Lake Arrowhead into the water of Ospey Lake. And two, the people in Arrowhead weren't at all cooperative in lowering the lake. If anything, they've raised it. So we have some drop, but the whole elevation of the hole right now, even if it was drained down, would not allow infiltration back up from the other way. So I guess John explained that to you when you was up there.
Yeah.
And you saw it. John was there when we popped the plug, and
It was pretty exciting, actually.
so and if anybody wants to look at it, there's a hole in the end of the dam that's taking water. So you can see we've lost about close to 7 inches of water. And we're going to start working on the beach on Friday. The last existing concrete ramp pad is got about 2 inches of water on it. So hopefully that'll be gone. New Dam Road is completely gravelled. It's rough graded. We're going to be up there tomorrow doing the slopes and the shoulders in the next 2 days. I've been getting a lot of negative reports. I told them we'd have it done in 2 months. So, second one is 60 days from today, it'll be paved. And we'll see if that pleases everybody. Because I took a ride through the infamous dirt roads that surrounds this road, and I found that our road was considerably better condition than those. And it just seems to me that people pounding off them roads should not complain about pounding down our road, which we spent a tremendous amount of taxpayer money trying to make better for them. Irritates me just a little bit. So I told them today 60 days. So, you know, there you have it. It will be paved in 60 days. So the McClucas Road is coming along. I don't know if any of you have been up there and looked at it, but it's coming along quite nicely. We're going to install the culverts there hopefully this week, and that'll be done. And then that'll be ready for pavement. And I'm meeting with Dayton Sand tomorrow morning to go over these various roads and refine their schedule on doing it. I don't know if I got anything else, but that's
A little senior moment there, I couldn't remember what.
probably senior moment. Oh, one other thing. Signs. Signs has been a little screw up in the signs. My fault. Me. I sent those list of all the signs and everything, but I never sent a purchase order to do them. So I called up to see where my signs were, and they said, you never told us to do them. You sent us the list and never told us to do them. So that's my fault. I apologize to all those that are waiting for signs, but, you know, that probably was a senior moment. Or, you know, there's just too much going on. Anybody got any questions?
Will that be 60 days or what?
It could take up to 60 days.
Hey Doug, do you know anything about if the state's gonna do anything? I noticed they were doing the striping on Townhouse Road in further down, there's nothing left to stripe on the right side. Are they gonna be, are you aware that if they're gonna be fixing that at all or doing anything with it?
I am not.
They're gonna be striping dirt up there. It's all broke off.
My information from the state is on an as-to-need-know basis, as they figure I need to know, which they don't figure I need to know much, because we have not impressed them with our letters back and forth over the old Elford Road, so they are less than cooperative with us.
Okay.
But we did get the old Elford Road shouldered, if that's what you want to call it. Right off like that, if you pull off the edge, you'll quickly go into the dirt and then into the trees. But
You can see where the mail truck was going down, and everywhere's where they shouldered, there's now 2-3 inches indent where he kept going. That's not shouldering,
That in the paper carrier.
He's got a good longer arm.
yeah.
that's what happens when you use a roll and you set the side closest to the center line on the pavement. It doesn't compact because you're using a 1-ton roll. They already put a 10-ton roll over, so it doesn't compact the dirt. Okay? The first day they did it, it rained a little bit. It was only a shower. And I told you last week, a truck went up through there and pulled over, and it just went right out just the side. You know, it was awful. So much for that. You know, we got it. Nothing we can do about it. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Selectmen's report.
Just real quick, you mentioned it earlier, the road review committee is looking for a metal detector. They've gone out and they've started doing the culvert inventory, but one of the things that they're finding is that some of the culverts, they're having a hard time finding them, and they could go a lot quicker if they had a metal detector, something that they may put in their budget next year, but if somebody has one kicking around, it's a hobby they thought they were going to take up and maybe didn't, and they have something that's in working order, not looking for anything fancy, just something that works, they'd appreciate a donation.
Okay. Anything on that end? Last Friday, Tom M.R.S.A, town planner, and myself attended the ribbon cutting of the new SIS bank branch down here in East Waterboro. Very well attended. They had quite a crowd. I don't know how the open house went on Saturday, but certainly Friday they had quite a crew of folks there in all the offices and whatnot. So some very happy tellers and whatnot that have moved from the Hannaford location, where they said they had to take turns turning around to now a very nice and well laid out branch bank. So anyway, that went very well, and they appreciated the assistance from the town during that build, and the owner of that complex was also there and had a number of discussions with what some of the plans and vision that he has for further growth there. So more to come on that, I believe. So town administrator's report.
Yeah, if Tom is out sick today, if he feeling still, tomorrow we have scheduled our kickoff meeting with the department heads for our CIPs. The board had requested a skill matrix. I had brought a copy up, but I want to make sure everybody looks at it, that everything is included on it, that, you know, you would like it to have on it. I'm waiting to set up a customer service training with MMA. Right now they are tied up with the convention. I think I'm going to talk back to her and see. She had requested if other towns would be interested, so I'm going to put my feelers out there to see if any town still might be interested in coming. And we'll be doing the quarterly reports. They'll be done on the 16th of October. So I'll finish them this week, and the newsletter.
Okay. Any questions? Oh, let's get some waving. Okay. I'll announce this at the end, but we'll announce it as well. This is something that Selectman Gerard brought up, that we should have a local candidates night, even though, or local being the local folks that are running for Main Senate District and the House District that represent Waterboro. So on the 4th of October at 7 p.m. in this room, we will have a candidates night for just 4 individuals, believe it or not. Main Senate District 3, John Tuttle and Brad Littlefield. Right, so Brad was in here a minute ago. I'll introduce him when he comes back in. And then District 139, Aaron Libby and Joseph Wagner. So you can put that down on your calendar. We will also have that as a live feed on the 4th. Correct, David?
Cable, and it'll be on the internet on the 5th.
Okay. So
That is next Thursday, for those who can't believe September's over.
yeah, that's right. It is next, October 4th is next Thursday, so,
And Bob Powers has agreed to moderate that.
good. So, we'll have, the room here, and like I said, we'll go live, but we'll also videotape it, and it'll rerun on a number of occasions on local cable, and as David mentioned, we'll have it up on the internet as well.
Now, may I just ask a question? In the past, it has always been directed to the audience that whatever question they ask, it is asked to both candidates. I have thought of 100 different questions that I'd like to ask one candidate. I mean, is that standard procedure?
Well, I think out of fairness, we've always asked, or at least had that as a format, right? Each individual is asked the same question, but I guess that'll really be up to Bob the night of the event. So
Okay.
I guess we're certainly,
Well,
as always, he's taken whatever liberties he feels necessary to run the debate.
I don't know if that will pop up this year.
Well, the
but-
candidates night's really not a debate, but.
Yeah.
David's gonna have it on the website, advertised on the website, but I was wondering too, if we could also have a link where somebody could send in an email question ahead of time that we could then print out and have for Bob that night, so if he has time to get to any internet questions or things that come in off the email, might be a nice option too.
Good.
Good point.
Anything else, Christina? New business. Discuss vote changes to the snow plowing contract. I think everybody's in receipt of the town administrator fed to us, which was really a from Foglo Incorporated, Doug Jr., his request, and it really is, we're taking Conley Point off. We're adding the old Alfred Road on, which has to be done. The real discussion, I think, is in around, in the contract currently, there's a $3,500 per mile rate of compensation. I think what Doug Jr. has requested is consideration for something greater than that on Old Alfred Road, because they will have to take care of Old Alfred Road a little different than what the other roads are taken care of.
How so?
I would guess it's only that it's gonna be would have to be plowed and sanded, similar to what Route 5 and Route 202 have to be.
Which is different than the town road?
I don't know, I'm not sure specifically what that would be, but just going by what his request is. If we wanna have Doug Jr. in, I'm sure he's more than willing to come in and have that discussion with
Well,
us.
I'm sure he's, probably knows what he's talking about, but I'd like to know what he is talking about.
I don't have a problem with him coming in.
You know, it's highly traveled for sure, but does it need more than the West Road? Does it need more than Shadwell Ridge Road? Does it need more than,
Weather Road or Deering Ridge?
yeah, Deering Ridge? You
I
know,
think-
it's
One of the conversations that's been had about Old Alfred Road is because of the way that it was paved and the way that the ditches and the shouldering was done, there's concerns about the plows hooking the edge of the roadway. I think that was part of the consideration.
But we've got that risk, I think, with any one of the roads. I mean, I think you bring up a good point, David. I think maybe we do bring in Doug and have that discussion. He's also, made the overture that they're more than willing to extend the contract if we so choose. I think we probably all have maybe different opinions of that, but it would be nice to sit and have that discussion face to face rather than, through a chain of emails. So, why don't we set that up sooner than later, because now that we're almost in October, they're gonna be into their first payment, what, the 15th of October?
No, November.
Oh, November, okay. But we ought to resolve that as sooner than later, so let's extend an invitation for at least for the explanation. I think we got the numbers, it's a matter of what the explanation.
I'd like to know how we arrived at those numbers too.
Guess maybe it's the new math, I'm not sure.
I mean, I can do the math he has here, but where did the numbers come from?
Well, I think what he's saying is that in the contract is a $3,900 per mile addition, right, for any road that we put on. The Old Alfred Road is 2.007 miles, right? We would be taking off 0.162 miles, Conley Point, right? So the top number is what I believe his number is, 7195. That would be strictly by the contract. What he's suggesting is that they're requesting an additional $1,100 a mile per on the Old Alfred Road, based on the fact that he believes that it needs additional attention to adequately maintain that section of road. So that's the $1,100 figure that he's got in the calculation below. So what he's saying is $7195.50 would be, in fact, the change to the contract as it's written today. What they're asking for is an additional $2207 because of the higher level of maintenance that he's projecting that Old Alfred Road would need. So that's the math.
Yeah, I guess it's an explanation of what does that $1,100 do.
So let's set them up and bring them in, and okay. If everybody's agreeable to that. And next on the agenda is discuss vote on a request to accept donation of parcel of land on Otter Drive, tax map 44 lot A507. That letter is in your package from Alfred and Denise Warner, who own the property, and land is not developed, and they would like to donate it to the town.
Does that abut any of our property as town property, or?
It says it abuts the conservation area. I guess we'd have to look at it now. I think Jerry, is that the initial down below here, Christina?
Yes.
Jerry, lot abuts Lake Arrowhead Recreation Area and Lake Arrowhead Wildlife Refuge. So we'd have to take a look at that. So do we want to, let's break out a tax map and take a look at it and bring it back next week to, we do have, I guess this is a question, we do have the legal right as a board to accept a gift. We used to bring these all to town meeting, I know, but it's been a while since we've done this. So unless there's any objection, we'll bring it back next week with some pictures.
Well, we can bring up the tax map now.
Excuse me, could I interrupt you one moment?
Sure.
We had a meeting next door, and the people that would normally walk up, they're all at an emergency at the hospital, and we have no way of locking that. Is there anybody here that could do that for us?
Yep.
Got it?
Thank you very much, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No problem.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Was it 44?
44, Lot A 507. Problem is that's not gonna show you what the town owns adjacent to it, right? It's off from what? What's that road?
Imperial.
Imperial Way, there it is.
It's adjacent to Arrowhead's, like Arrowhead's recreation area and the wildlife refuge. I mean, it's adjacent to like Arrowhead property.
So it was Brood or what? Victoria?
Oh, it's this one right here. Right there. So you've got Imperial, yeah, here's Victoria. So it's a side road off of Victoria.
Does it give any lot size, Tammy?
They're all-
202 by 220.
Is that a buildable lot, do we know, or?
Don't know.
I mean, we've had other lots in Arrowhead that we've been offered.
We own
We own
400 or
some.
500 up there
We tried to get rid of them.
that we've ongoing effort.
You know,
to
it's
try to get rid of.
unfortunate that they can't sell it and they can't afford the taxes on it, but I'm not necessarily interested in accepting a donation based on that.
This says, the tax thing says Otter Drive. Is
Yep.
it on Otter?
I guess I was just trying to visualize where it is and how big it is, and that's fine, I mean,
Yep.
that's good. And could it be used for something, you know? But it sounds like it's pretty well isolated off to one side.
So, we want to take a peek at what we own in and around it, or we make a motion now?
I can look at it tomorrow and take some pictures of it, because I gotta go up there anyway on other business.
So, everybody agreeable, we bring it back next week?
Yeah, I'd like to see a paper map and the
Okay,
surrounding roads and stuff.
all right. And last thing on the new business, do we have the deed? Okay, so we will defer
We'll do it
that.
next week.
Defer that to next week. And there is no old business. We'll take 1 minute just to introduce Brad Littlefield, who is a candidate for District 3 for the Maine Senate. While you were out of the room, Brad, we mentioned that we will have a candidates night here on the 4th, which I believe you've accepted to come to. So for those of you that don't know or don't recognize, Brad will be a candidate for that against John Tuttle. Both happen to be Sanford residents, right? So, sure.
Yes, John Tuttle and I are Sanford residents. We both graduated from Sanford High at the same time. We are actually very good friends. This is, John likes to call this the Battle of Class of 1970. So that's where we keep it. We keep it on a friendly basis. This isn't about a race to beat the other guy. It's a race to win the seat. So we respect that. Respect of each other. I would like to offer this to you, though. If you have any questions of me, I'll leave my card with you, and you can all call me. Any suggestions you may have, or any questions you have of me, or thoughts, of things to come, please forward those to me. I'll leave your cards, get my website on it, and email address.
Good.
I look forward to,
Appreciate
is
it.
it next Thursday night on the 4th?
Next Thursday night.
I'll be,
This is always a tough crowd here, Brad, so,
yeah, well, you know, I don't know if you know this, but the Bookers and the Whitmans are my relatives over here, so I know how tough they can be.
all right, thanks. Other business, warrants and bills of payroll. Entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? There are no minutes from last week's meeting. We've been planning weddings or something of that nature. Pending decisions, PCAs, PSAs, the driveway opening permit, wood committee status. Somewhere here, I've still got that. Hasn't changed a lot. Christine, what you do? Still. Anyway.
I did leave it there.
Yeah, I know. Pretty much the same as what we've been.
You want it, Dan? It's probably not that.
Yeah. Let me just quickly run down through this. Unless
Pass
you want
it
to read
on,
it.
John.
Old Home Days Committee, still looking for more members. The Community Garden Committee, Fair Hearing Committee, we need 2. We have 2 vacancies. ZBA, we have 1. Finance Committee, 2 vacancies. Planning Board, we have a vacancy, which is the alternate member vacancy. Parks and Rec, 4 vacancies. Conservation Commission, 2. Transfer Station Recycling Committee, 1 vacancy. The Hiring Panel, 4 vacancies. Economic Development Committee and the Public Safety Committee, we're trying to restart, so we have a total of 7 and 5 vacancies respectively in those 2 committees. So any interest in any of that, please stop by and see Christina, or you can talk to anyone on the board here to express some interest. Week's action list. Do we need to stimulate our dam gate guy, or whatever his name is, on gates off the dam?
Yeah, I know when you called him last week, he was down in the Everglades.
That's probably why he didn't stop and pick the gates
Yeah.
up. Considering that it's gonna be relatively cool here in the next, there's no better time to replace the thing, but the other question is I'm not sure it would hurt to bring out this Knowles Industry to take a look at.
I think so.
If you look at, and I don't know if any of you stopped up there, but if you actually look down where the gates, the bottom of the gate, you can see where it's really cut into the cement work. And I mean, ultimately, this is the second dam that's of this build and design. The first one had a lot of erosion and the corner broke off, and I believe we figured out it was 93, 94, 93. That was, we pulled the lake down and replaced the dam, and this was a structure that was done by Superior Concrete, all in one shot, and it was set in there with we had a cofferdam and everything else. So one would believe that, and that previous dam was replaced in '68, so one would believe that at some point in time there will have to be some additional maintenance done. So if we could at least get a number from those guys if they have any interest, but they would have to either we need to pull it down, or we'd have to put some sort of a cofferdam around it while they work it. But
This would be for next year, I assume.
I would think that we'd have to look at, and I'm not sure that we want to keep yanking the lake down 3 feet or whatever, but it'd be nice to do it now, but it's just not in the cards, I don't think, to do it now. So. Anything else on the list of things to do?
This old Alfred Road just bugs me to no end. And I guess the only thing we have is ammunition to throw at them, which, I don't know if none of it's going to stick, but have we involved our representatives in Augusta with this issue?
Doug did when he met with him.
He did.
Yes.
Do you know if we have had any follow-up?
I'm not sure, I'd have to check with him. I don't know if he contacted him, talked to him with this last episode that we had or not.
Okay.
Well, the last letter that went off was before the road got shouldered and whatnot. They've done a little bit, according to Selectman Gerard earlier this evening. There have been members of the road review committee that have had calls from the paving company that have some concerns with comments being made, but the bottom line is that I think we got exactly what the state paid for, which was kind of a, a very quick fix, cheap job.
Shoestring
and
budget.
That's what we got, so. And unfortunately, we now own the maintenance of the road,
Well,
so.
it seems like it's a white elephant, and it's gonna keep costing us and costing us and costing us, you know?
That's why they decided to give us.
That's why they gave it to
oh,
us.
I know, but
instead
I'm
of
not,
202
I'm
and
not
4.
willing to let it die,
Yeah,
you know?
So
I'm
how,
gonna make somebody's life miserable.
can we have an agenda item about this next week? And maybe what we need to do is start from the beginning, document everything that is wrong with it, and follow up with another letter, only not just to DOT, but going beyond DOT. And see if there's someplace else that we
Well,
can
the last
do it.
letter was copied to the commissioner as well as the governor.
Governor,
And
but,
I'm sure the governor, that's the last thing that he has on
you
his
know,
mind
I'm
is
sure
some
that
Waterboro Road.
we're not the only community getting this great deal.
Maybe we could have Aaron come in next week and
Yeah,
discuss it.
That would be good, and maybe with enough people complaining throughout the state, maybe something would be done about it. I mean, maybe it just, at some point, it gets old to get screwed all the time.
So, why don't we'll stick something on the agenda, and Christine, if you can extend a invitation to Representative Libby and Senator Courtney, although I'm sure that both of those schedules are fairly busy, but we'll at least invite them with the discussion, and we certainly can follow up with what the results of that meeting are, but it would be nice to put chronologically all the letters that we've sent and expression of displeasure with the state's performance.
Essentially what it is it's cosmetic.
Right.
They put lipstick on a pig, but the underlying thing is it's still a pig up there.
Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion? Senator Collins is the chair of the Transportation Committee,
Yeah.
and he's from Wells. He also represents Limerick and some of these other towns around here. I would, as a transportation chair, I would send him that same letter and copy of it, Ryan Collins and Wells.
Yep, thanks for that info. Anything else for next week?
We should probably decide what we want to do about the water district
I think that's
estimate that we got.
pretty simple, but we could bring it on.
Well,
that
I mean, if we're
discussion.
not interested in
Right.
pursuing, we need
I
to
think
let
we need to let them.
Steve Levy know.
Yeah, because I
and
think
the school
if they're
district.
looking to hang their hat on
Us.
some grants based on us jumping into this, I don't see us coming up with $325,000 to have public water at the fire station and at the town hall. So,
I mean, it is mind-blowing.
So, let's put it on the agenda as a discussion point. And Jerry's coming in next week, you said? And just so, and maybe we just give Jerry a few extra moments next week, but there's still he's still getting a barrage of requests for, to reduce assessments based on market value and whatnot, which is always nice, but if we reduce assessments on a handful of people, then all that does is shift the burden to everybody else, or we can change the assessment across the board and raise everybody's mill rate. So the net gain is zero for taxes. So we ought to have that discussion a little bit with him next week. He's got the assessment done, we're about 10 to 11% higher than market. And we can unilaterally change that but like I said, you move that down, the mill rate goes up, the same amount of money's gonna be raised. Anything else, folks?
Next,
You get a vote.
Is there something that, no, I just had a question about, I was just kind of looking up a little bit about the shoulders, and there seems to be some state law about resurfacing existing shoulders where they're kind of letting them fall apart on Townhouse Road and just disappear. Is that, can we have that looked into at some point?
I mean, ultimately, it's a state aid road that they're looking to wash their hands of, and they do have maintenance of the road other than winter maintenance, which we have this in the West Road and Goodwin's Mills Road. There's certainly a plan to turn all of that back over to municipalities, which we all know, but you're right, I think there's less and less money to do less and less work, and I'm not sure, other than, last year we did have the commissioner here, last year or 2 years ago.
4 years ago.
2 years ago. So maybe it's time to raise some of that up, because it's not going to go away. I mean, the next round is going to be, the only reason we get Old Alfred Road is because we hit the urban compact number, right, of 7,500 people. That won't change again for 10 years, which is kind of crazy. The only time that they look at urban compact zones is every 10 years after the census.
The state's doing something on Townhouse Road now, because they're DOT graders up there doing the sides of the road, the breakdown lanes and stuff.
It looked like they were just striping, cleaning off.
No, I passed it today. I had services to do in Hollis. Went down through, and the grader's right there, and I saw it said MDOT on the side. So
Well, let's see what happens then.
they're in the area of White
The
House.
white line on this side is like right on the edge, and on this side they can't even put it down.
Yeah, I passed the paint truck too.
Okay. Items needing signature, warrants and bills of payroll. Just reminders, this Thursday, 11:30 a.m., the senior luncheon over at the Snowmobile Club. A week from tonight, back in this room, we have the Planning Board and the Zoning Board of Appeals, Town Planner, and the Town Planner reporting out. October 3rd, Wednesday night, 2020 Master Planning Committee at the Central Station. Wednesday, October 3rd, the Planning Board. I thought the 2020 and the Planning Board were shifting nights.
we are, but not then.
So they're both on for next Wednesday. October 4th, Conservation Commission over at the Town Hall, but in this room will be a candidates night. And on the website, you will find this nice little document that identifies the time and whatnot, so.
And an opportunity to submit questions via email.
Right. October 8th, 2 weeks from yesterday, a Community Garden Committee meeting, 6 p.m. at the Town Hall. Cemetery Committee, same night at 7 p.m. And back here 2 weeks from tonight with Parks and Rec reporting. Anything else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.